The minute I gave that up, I started healing rapidly. And my legs started healing, and my muscles started firing, and my nerves started listening to me, and I just started working really hard. And then, of course, I, through faith, entered some rodeos that were to be on my way to Calgary, even though I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make it. I never told them I wasn't going to Calgary. And I got my paperwork done, my vet work done, everything that I needed to go, even though I still had not made a run on my horse. And finally, it was the day before we were supposed to leave, I made a run at a rodeo. For some reason, doing it at home wasn't good enough for me. I had to do it in competition. So I entered a rodeo, I went and I ran at it, and it was a closed gate, and my legs fired to help me up. And of course we were doing things like, doing stairs, and I had help from the personal trainers on leg lifts, and this was a very slow process of 3 times a day physical therapy to get my legs firing to the point where I could stand up out of my saddle. So my legs worked for me to pull myself up out of my saddle when my horse fired out of a barrel, and it was a closed gate, and he had to stop at the closed gate, which of course bounced me and hurt like heck, to put it nicely. However, I did not black out. I did not see stars, and that to me was victory. And I knew that I could run as long as I didn't get knocked out in the process. And so Shotgun and I, my brother Levi, because I needed help driving, because still my legs didn't work, and if I sat in one place more than an hour or so, my legs would go numb and not work well. So Levi was driving me. We hit some rodeos over the 4th of July for some practice runs, won some money, crossed the border, and I had to run every day. I had to run and run stairs and keep my legs firing. Otherwise, they didn't work. So unless I worked my legs every day, they wouldn't work for me. And I just remember the very first round at Calgary, and Shotgun went in there, and I was so grateful, and I was relishing every moment. I was relishing the way the air smelled, the American flag, the Canadian flag, the mountains, the track, the way the wet dirt smelled on the track. I was just relishing in every moment and so grateful that I was able to run again, and not only just run again, but be at one of the most prestigious rodeos in the world at Calgary, where they only take the top 10 in the world. So it's more difficult to qualify for Calgary than it is the NFR. And they only take the top 10 there. And I just was so grateful to be able to run, and with no expectations of winning. And Shotgun went out there, and he made his perfect run, and I rode him to the best of my abilities, and we won the round. And it was just the coolest thing, as my family was there, my mom, my dad, my brother, and of course I have 5 brothers and a sister at home that were unable to make it, but my brother Levi was there, and my mother and my father, and it was just the coolest thing. And I got to go up and get my bronze medal for winning the round, and we were just so proud of Shotgun. And every morning I would get up and I would run, and then I would do my yoga, and I would put Shotgun's therapy blanket on him and do his therapy. So Shotgun and I would do our therapy for each other every day, every morning. And at Calgary, the wins just kept coming, and he just kept winning the rounds. And he won all 4 rounds in our set. And then a reporter came up to me and said, Sydney, did you know that you're the first person to do this, to win all 4 rounds in your set. And I said, well, no, I mean, are you sure? I figured that, Lindsay Sears had done it. Lindsay and Martha are the queens of Calgary Stampede. And they have won that rodeo, I think, twice to that date. And so, of course, we were celebrating, we were happy, and then we had to compete in what they call the 10 round. So they take the top 4 from each set at Calgary and 2 wild cards. And they only take the top 4 from that 10. So it did not matter how much you won, that we had won every round to that point in time. It didn't matter. We had to be in the top 4 to qualify for the 100,000. And of course, they gave us this beautiful meal. I'm pretty sure it was steak and chicken at Hospitality before the rodeo started. And I just looked at my brother Levi and I said, I can't eat. I was so nervous. And I just couldn't eat. And I just knew it didn't matter how well we did in the previous rounds. We had to do, that much better to qualify for the 4 round. And, of course, I was nervous, and I'm sure that was making Shotgun nervous. And then I just remembered to be grateful that it didn't matter whether or not we qualified for the 100. What mattered was that I was capable and able to do what I loved, and that is run barrels. And Shotgun was capable and able to do what he loved, and that is run barrels, despite his injuries and despite my injuries. And so we went out there, and Shotgun gave it his best, and he ran and he won the 10 round, and which means we had to run for $100,000 about 45 minutes later. So, of course, at that point, I was no longer nervous. I was just so happy because I knew no matter what, we were in the top 4. No matter what, we won money in the top 4. And, no matter what, we were both there and able to do what we loved. And my family was there, and it was just such an amazing time. And we already had, 4 bronze from winning, all of those rounds. And we were going home as winners, no matter the outcome. And so we prepared Shotgun for his next run. And I ran last. And Sue Smith had won the rodeo the previous year, won the 100,000, and she ran and she smoked a run. And Tammy Key was there on round pin, and he went in there and smoked a run. And Lindsay Sears goes in there and she runs the fastest time of the entire rodeo, which means that her and Martha outran Shotgun and I. Best time of the entire rodeo. But instead of getting nervous, I was thinking to myself, wow, even if we were second, how cool is that to be behind world champion horse, world champion jockey, and be able to run second behind them. And then, of course, Sue Smith was a multiple NFR qualifier, and Tammy Key was a multiple NFR qualifier. And I had qualified for the finals once, and it was just such a great playing field to be competing with. So we went in there and we ran, and my only thoughts were to get to my points and ride perfect. And so I just went in there and I did my job and I ran to my points and cued shotgun where, I needed to cue him, and he listened to me and he ran his heart out, and we turned the third barrel and we are hauling butt home, and I am whipping and I'm not even looking where we're going. I'm just whipping and hoping that we'll be fast enough to, win first or second. And I look up at the timer and it blinks. And it says 17:21, and I knew that Lindsay was a 17:24, and the crowd goes wild, and I can hear my mom and my dad over everybody, and I'm screaming, and they're screaming, and we're so happy, and Shotgun knew he won, and he walked out of that pen like a champion with his head held high, and he was prancing on his front feet, and he knew that he won that rodeo and that he was the best against, world champions and multiple NFR qualifiers. And we had overcome so much to get there and be able to compete, and just so grateful, through his injuries and my injuries. And I went up there and got our plaque and our big check, and it was the coolest thing. And I was signing autographs, and I didn't know what to sign, and I was just signing my name, and then I decided to put "Be Fearless, Sydney Blanchard." And so every time I wrote down "Be Fearless," I was telling somebody else to overcome, be fearless in everything that you're doing to overcome whatever you're going through in life at that point in time. Do it without fear, with the all-knowing that God has control. And even if it doesn't go your way, if it goes God's way, it will be perfect. And so that is how I came up with Team Fearless. And I started calling everybody who helped me and the horses and everyone Team Fearless. And now I have and am able to help others through Team Fearless achieve their dreams. So, now that you know my fearless story, I would love for you to tell me your fearless story on social media and just hashtag Team Fearless. Or tag me in it, Sydney Blanchard, and I welcome you to the team, and I hope that you just help others with your knowledge and the people that I help with my knowledge, and we just keep, paying it forward. So anything you guys need, email me, Facebook me, follow me, and I will help you in any way I can. But I would love to hear your story, and I think that other people would love to hear your story, because it will inspire people to keep going no matter what they're going through in life. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember to be fearless.